Firstly, welcome to the beginning of your 30s, and then you know how hype the Fantastic Four movies were back in the mid-2000s. The promise of high-octane action and thrills, and a cast of wildly different superheroes with real-life problems, fears, and emotions. Not just that, the money spent on promotions, and more promotions is pure insanity. And while other movies have adopted this movie did the most. So the question was, how can we milk this franchise for what it's worth? Let's make a game about it. Now on paper, this doesn't sound like a bad idea, an action game that's got 4 different superheroes, but this was something different. So the first game was mediocre at best. The second game, Rise of Silver Surfer, oh boy, that game is a bland salad.
It's clobbering time!
So, starting out, it's definitely a game that's more suited for multiple people, having each member being controlled at the same time. Now, while that sounds neat if you have multiple people, if you're playing this solo, it's just very tedious. Now, a good thing about it is each character has special environmental abilities. Mr. Fantastic can electric shock computers instead of hacking them. Alright, that's new. The Thing breaks stuff, which is normal. Human Torch burns electric generators, which is interesting, especially since we just established that Mr. Fantastic shocks things, but okay, again, okay. Invisible Girl shoots invisible testicles to shut off power supplies, which is another one of those interesting tidbits, because usually when there's a barrier blocking you or any other ability, why would her ability work? But hey, that's neither here nor there. There is a level up system, and while in action like in other games, like the Tales of series, mixing RPG and action together fluidly, it works. This just doesn't feel like that. The progression is hardly felt, feels flat. You're constantly surrounded by these shit stains fighting your way past that you can easily slaughter or be easily slaughtered, either or. And another thing I don't like is the amount of experience you need just to get past level 1. I mean, if anything, you should be cruising past the first couple of levels pretty easily, but it doesn't work like that. Then when you do level up, nothing really changes. It's not like you can feel the progression. It just kind of does a little flourish and then you level up. Cool. The graphics themselves, while it's not bad for PlayStation 2, but I did notice a lot of different things, like the cutscenes being extremely choppy, and the voice acting is pretty mid-tier. None of the characters are voiced by their true movie counterparts, and also, if I'm gonna nitpick like this, the only one that actually looks true to the movie is Mr. Fantastic. Everybody else looks like a cheap imitation, other than Thing, because I mean, how do you fuck that up? It's just a pile of boulders. But I digress. Now, the attacking is very particular. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes it works, sometimes your hits don't work, which is particularly frustrating, especially since each character has an area attack, so when you're surrounded and you use the area attack and it doesn't work but for one person, you tend to feel particularly pissed off. That being said, I hate Mr. Fantastic's attacks the most. Why is the dude who is literally stretching his body to attack and could really utilize that to his full benefit to do crazy things using electric gauntlets with terrible range, and the damage sucks too. Thing ground pounds and has terrible range for someone with monstrous power. The Human Torch and Invisible Girl are just lackluster, like ooh, fire, and ooh, invisible force. Like, they could have been something that could have been a flourish for each character, but it's just, once you see it, you've seen the whole thing. If only this game had something called pacing to where each character would actually shine instead of just this weird mishmash going on. Now, if I'm being honest, if I'm being truly and terribly honest, I almost didn't make this video because the game is just so boring. It's just really whack on the controls and it's very boring. It's just the same thing over and over again. Everybody walks like there's shit caked up their ass, and the tedious gameplay versus the attacks that don't connect. It's just fight, roadblock, fight, roadblock, fight, roadblock. So I almost didn't make it because of that, but here we are. Who remembers this game? You may have good memories with it. I didn't. So the game crashed right at Super Scroll, and I couldn't be bothered to think about resetting my progress or playing through that level again. So I just caught what I caught, and that's it. I think the biggest downfall of this game is that it's very boring. It's not fun. It's not complete hot dog water, but it's boring enough, and the controls being tedious and the attacks working only 70% of the time. It just blends this up to be fantastically shit. And I'll be damned, but I scoped some footage and I found some solo missions. Remember when I said about pacing? But guess what? They suck too. You got the Human Torch chasing the Silver Surfer through New York and Miss Invisiblest using her invisibility powers to sneak through a military base. Which, it does suck that the pacing and everything else feels kind of shite, because one of the writers of the game is Flint Dille. For those that don't know, he had to do with a lot of other writings in games, like Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, Dead to Rights, and a few others. So sometimes you roll the dice and you win some, and then sometimes you lose. But for this episode, I'm really not having a lot to say that's crazy, other than it's a boring button masher that's overhyped and underdelivered. So that's all I can really say about it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching. And if you have any recommendations for what you want to see on the next episode of Who Remembers, just comment down below. Thank you all once again. I appreciate you all. And 1K game, let's go.